joining us. I am Yori Folari. My guest this morning is one of them. Normally I'd call him Mr. Monday Onyekachi Ubani, but today, because of his red cap, I think you can choose Mazi or Ogwefi.
Whichever one that fits that is clearly okay with your mouth. Go ahead and name it.
There you go.
And I accept it.
So today, because of the red cap, yes. Mazi.
Yeah, Mazi goes. Ogwefi also goes.
There you go. So anyway, our guest Monday Onyekachi Ubani. Thank you very much. Chairman of SPIDO of the MBA. As I said, that's just our first guest. We shall be hosting another legal luminary very, very shortly. But our subject matter, we're going to continue where we left off yesterday in the sense that the matter has moved forward. Yesterday, we were looking at this strike by NARD, National Association of Resident Doctors, and the efforts of the president to, intervene in the matter. And he had counseled the Minister of Labor, is it the Minister of Labor or the Ministry of Labor, to explore, sidestep technicalities. Just do everything you can to cut the fluff. Such is the way of the law. We all know. In a different context, they say the wheels of justice grind slowly. And I imagine the processes, too, are not exactly lightning speed. So the president was counseling, can you just cut some of the technicalities and just make sure we resolve this matter? They, to show good faith, had indicated that they were ready to put forward a substantial amount of money for the training fund of the National Association of Resident Doctors. Although we were told yesterday by the Secretary General that, and other people that, good, but it doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of the matter. There are other issues. And I was telling you about the other lawyer, Libros Oshoma. Mazi, which one are you going to take?
No. Libros Oshoma is fine.
Libros,
my Oga Ubani is.
Let him stay with the title.
I don't know that his side of Abia Mazi. I only think it's from Arochukwu area.
There you go. In fact, I have
now friend, I know better.
I have a friend. I'll be checking with him. That one is from
Arochukwu. That's Mazi.
Arondiziogu.
Yes. That's Imo. Mazi. That's Imo. That's not.
No.
Arondiziogu. Yes. I used to.
Is it Imo?
No.
It's Anambra.
No, it's not.
No. That's far from it. Let me just get myself out of the quicksand and just leave all these things the way they are.
You better.
Yes, I think I'll quickly, backtrack from the quicksand. But we're looking at the doctors from yesterday, the doctors' issue from yesterday. Initially, there seemed to be some, indication that the courts were, we're going to compel the lawyers, the doctors to go back. But we quickly found out that that wasn't so.
Yeah, how do you resolve issues of labor dispute, of such a proportion by thinking that you go to court to compel doctors who you have signed what we call memorandum of action, not memorandum of understanding. They have gone beyond understanding to now say implement what we have agreed upon. And you now jointly sign a memorandum of action. Up to date, that was signed in 2014, I understand. Up to now, you have not implemented what you have agreed to implement. And these guys are on strike. And you felt that the only way to resolve the issue is to go to Judiciary to compel doctors who have a grouse, whose grouse you have not resolved, to compel them to go, and you want to do that by ex parte. And the
ex parte means for the non-lawyers.
Yes, that you don't put them on notice, that the court will behind them. The court, even in the
doctors will not be represented.
Exactly. The first judge who handled this matter when one society went to court said, look, you put these people on notice, it will be a denial of fair hearing. If I go ahead as a judge to make an order compelling them to come back to work, that they should be put on notice. Then the federal government also in the same vein went to court, and yesterday the court ruled, he dribbled them and told them they should end all hostilities and maintain status quo. Now, I don't know how you are journalists now reporting that doctors have been compelled to go back to work by the court. There was no such ruling. I don't know how they started to interpret that law that way.
Libros, weighing on that matter, the way the court pronounced that they should end all hostility, that is let's face it, courts are not usually vague like that.
Ordinary, no, it's not vague. It is not vague. No, it is not vague.
So what is it? How do we understand?
Ordinarily, like Kubani had said, this is not a matter for courts. And so when the court tells you maintain status quo, it's like bringing an application before the court and you say, grant me a restraining order to restrain this man from doing what he's threatening to do. And the court, the other man says, no, allow me to go ahead to do what I want to do because this person has refused to do A, B, C. And then the court says, you know what, I will not say go ahead. Also, I will not tell him not to go ahead. Go back and maintain the position you were in before you came to court. Maintain status quo means maintain the position you were in before this war. And so some people had said, what is the position they were in before they went to court? Doctors went on strike. And you say you don't have a right to go on strike. Court pronounced that they don't have a right to go on strike. Restrain them. And the doctors are saying the action had been completed. We're already on strike. So you can't restrain an action that had been completed. And the court says, okay, go back, maintain status quo. What it means, depending on how you are interpreting it. If you interpret it that the fight, the status quo was before the strike, then you can say, oh, what the court is saying is go back to work pending when we determine this issue. If it is that strike had begun before you went to court, the status quo is that before you took this action, we're already gone on strike. But that's why I like the president's position. The fact that, look, this is not a matter for law. It's a matter for, the table. You, federal government, you have also, you're looking at it from one point that the doctors signed a Hippocratic oath and they have violated that oath by dantooling and refusing to save lives. You also signed an oath to provide the tools to which these doctors will work. Both of you have, in one way or the other, violated the oath that you signed. So federal government, you were the one that failed to provide these tools in the first place. So why don't you go back, sit down with these people and discuss with them instead of having to resort to legalism that had never been known to work, including the no work, no pay rule.
Okay. Onyekachi, is that the alternative dispute resolution mechanism? Is that part of it? Because when the president was counseling, explore alternative dispute mechanism.
Yeah, in fact, it's the best way now to resolve most legal disputes. This issue of adversarial, position, which is what we inherited from the British jurisprudence. Going to court virtually on everything, whereas you can sit down on a round table and have those issues resolved amicably. But let me say this, sir. They have always sat down over this issue. This is not the first time doctors have gone on strike, and we must. Decry the state of our health sector. We know that our leaders go to abroad to take medical treatment, and we need to really address it. What is the problem that makes most of our leaders to go abroad? And secondly, when they go to abroad, they see most of Nigerian doctors are the one manning the health sector in all these developed economies. So something is fundamentally wrong with our medical system here. So you now entered into a memorandum of understanding. Remember, I said it before, sir. Now you now move towards memorandum of action, meaning that you need to implement. Up to now, you have not implemented. You are now, when they now went on strike, you now felt that the best thing to do is to go to court to compel them to go back to work. Why don't you address the issue they are raising, that are fundamental? Have you addressed that issue? Have you solved the problem that made you people to sit down to sign? Because it was something written. You signed, but I will implement this.
Indeed.
So what is the issue? So, Oga, we need to really address these issues in a square manner, and I like what your station is doing most time to raise these issues, for discussion. Let's get set of our problems sorted out. And part of the way to solve these problems is for us to be more realistic in telling government the truth. They have erred in this matter. These guys are on strike. My friend died 2 days ago. And he has been in this television. They call Best Man Abumere died. He went to hospital, sir.
What a pity.
They could not attend to him somewhere in Ikorodu there. And that's how the young one died. That was on Sunday. Why? Because doctors are on strike. We must address this issue, sir. What is the issue? Why are they not implementing what they have agreed upon?
Exactly. And the doctors, yesterday, when we, as I said, we started this particular conversation yesterday, the Secretary General of NAD, among other doctors, we had 3 of them, no less, yesterday, had pointed out the fact that the federal government has not kept the faith. In fact, the NAD guy came out and said, cannot be relied upon, cannot be trusted. That's government for you. that was the position of the NAD guy. Now I'm at a loss as to how to go, because we're in the middle of an emergency.
When you don't trust a government,
yes,
and yet it's not a matter for court, and you are back to the same table with the same government. You are in
so they said the government can't be trusted, and this reminds me of what Onyekachi was saying, that you now go to court. The doctors were saying that you can't trust government. Now government showed its hand to at least the Ministry of Labor. And by the way, people have also expressed that Dr. Chris Ngige, he's a medical doctor. He's not, he knows.
The Labor Minister, yes.
They can't tell him anything about the medical profession.
You see, you are a critic of government until you are in government. And that's what happens here.
That's another theory.
Yes, you are a critic until you are in government. All of these people in government today, we had a minister for education who was a lecturer, and he became minister for education, and lecturers done too. He was doing 25 years marriage anniversary, and they're celebrating. You know, so these people in every sector, almost every sector, let me not say every sector, almost every sector in Nigeria needs attention. And it is worse with the health sector, because, you know, you have, it is the sector that saves lives. And so you find situations where other sectors like infrastructure are in comatose. And so the end, just like you said, the court is the hope of the common man. It's the last hope of the common man. The health sector is the last hope of the common man also, because when these other infrastructures, the dilapidated nature of this infrastructure cause you health hazard, the last hope that you have is the health sector. And so if it is not working, and for minor headache, these people can jet abroad, including Mr. President, then we should, as a matter of national urgency, declare a state of emergency in our health sector. And then the doctors, I also believe that in this strike and action, there's need to also carry the other health workers along. Because after this one now, you will hear that the nurses are on strike. After the nurses, you hear Johesu. You know, there's need to have a holistic approach.
In fact, you look at that slide there.
The FG welcome.
What was the ruling that was
welcome? That ruling?
What ruling was welcome? What were they welcoming?
You know, see, that's a problem for me. When you begin to now stand the law
unless the federal government,
that's lack of sincerity also.
Unless the federal government has welcomed the resolution of go back and maintain the status quo. If that is the one,
that means what is it?
Yes, so federal government welcomes that, but I
welcomes the strike.
But I doubt.
Because actually, what was the status before they went to court?
Yes,
the status was that these guys already commenced strike.
They had commenced strike.
And the court says maintain it and then end hostility. I don't know whether they were boxing themselves. End all hostility. So the position of things as it stands today, from the interpretation of what took place yesterday, is that strike continues. But the federal government, understand it differently, because you see some of the headlines. They were now saying that court has ordered the doctors to go back to work. There is no such thing.
Until NAD came into the matter and said, "Hey, hang on, guys, I don't know where you're getting your news from.
All these news from.
I don't know where all of these
I'm not sincerely, sir, would order that in the absence of the other party. It can't be. It's an order that can make under no matter the extreme urgency, the court will want to hear the other party.
And I think
the NAD Secretary General had said that it was his understanding that the press release had come from the information section of the Ministry of Labor.
It's obvious.
Yes, that's true.
And this goes back to the cry yesterday that they can't trust government, which is very, very unfortunate.
That's what I'm saying. And saying, apart from that, it also helped in further ridiculing our judiciary. Because what the government is doing with this interpretation and the press release is to further ridicule the judiciary. You make an order that cannot be obeyed. And so what it means is in Nigeria, you can make orders that are not obeyed, even though you know that wasn't the order that the court made.
Correct.
So And it also further draws from your bank of trusts that, look, these people cannot be trusted. I think we should change this attitude of once you are in government, you must defend everything in government, even the indefensible, and begin to look at things holistically, most especially when you swear to protect and preserve the sanctity of life, and then also the essence of government being that, will protect lives and properties.
But my understanding, Onyekachi, was that because the president had come into the matter, usually the president, he works by delegation. He can't be everywhere and do everything.
That's right.
So the president had said, okay, it's a bit unusual for him to come in, but it was important enough for him to come in. And he was offering advice, say, sidestep all those technicalities and let's get to the crux of this matter with a view to sorting it out. Some were beginning to even say that because of that, the president had sort of laid a foundation for the peaceful resolution, maybe with mutual satisfaction on both sides. Again,
what I don't want the president to go
now
beyond.
you're a chief.
Yes, of course, it's a chief.
People call me anything.
They
know I'm just theory.
He's a chief on television. Now, I want the president to go beyond this advice, because to me, the president also is trying to reduce the level of technicality in resolution of this matter to really call these parties, if possible, because lives are involved. And I'm sure why they went to court is because of the issue of life. People are dying by virtue of the absence of doctors in all the hospitals. Now, sir, I think that the president, since he takes this matter to be very serious, in order to offer the advice he did, by calling these parties, if possible, there is nothing wrong with the president having a meeting, and resolving this issue once and for all. What is the issue? Oh, we have implementation we have to do. Okay, can we now start with implementing part of it so that these guys can go back to work?
Exactly.
So I don't want this matter to be delayed. I don't want this bureaucracy. You push to resolve your issue and all that. The president can summon a meeting and resolve this issue because it has to do with the health sector. He has mentioned the importance of health sector in every economy. Sir.
Exactly.
Life is important.
Exactly. Good morning, Mr. George. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. And greetings to the two lawyers there.
Okay, thank you.
Uncle Yori, yesterday I was saying that the issue of going to court by the Minister of Labour was a wrong step. And you were saying that the government has promised to pay in a week. How long does it get? Well, I mean, if you are to make payment, it's something that can be done in minutes. Central Bank is there. The Ministry of Finance is there. What does it take them to issue a check and pay? I was talking about the issue of trust. You can see that this element of trust is elusive. That is why the matter is dragging on. For me, the Minister of Labour, if I were the president, I would have fired him by now.
Exactly.
The minister was hired to bring results and not to bring deficits. People are dying in hospitals. Instead of you to talk with doctors and resolve the issue, you decide to take it to court. That tells me that he does not know how to resolve issues as the Minister of Labour. Then he shouldn't be there.
It shouldn't be.
Now,
Okay.
I was suggesting that the government should elevate the negotiating table. It is obvious that the matter has gone beyond the minister to be able to resolve.
Yeah.
So raise it up, ask a higher government official to discuss with the doctors.
Fire the minister and then...
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. George. And just to point out again that banner that we're showing, that graphic, you have to take it the way you will. What is the federal government welcoming? Was it the judge saying, no, we shall not grant the injunction that you're looking for, go back and maintain the status quo? Is that what the federal government is, welcoming?
It's obvious.
Is that
that's why they are welcoming.
That's why I have to be very, very careful. No.
Welcoming, but that is not what the doctors are welcoming, and that is not what some of us understand it to be.
Oh dear.
And
okay,
sorry.
wait a minute. One moment. We're just getting this, that the former senator representing Ogun East constituency, Senator Olabi Drojaye, has passed. We don't have any other detail, but no doubt, stay on TVC. Our news will be updating you. All we have just now coming in, the former senator representing Ogun East constituency, Olabi Drojaye, has passed on. Sorry.
Quite unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
May so rest in peace.
May he so rest in peace.
God grant the family the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss. And this is part of what we are saying.
Even though we don't have any details whatsoever.
What I'm saying, life
yes.
is precious. And so that's why in other climes they do everything humanly possible to protect and preserve life. As I speak to you now, Saudi Arabian health sector are coming to conduct examination in Nigeria next week, and most of our doctors are participating in that exam. And
that's recruitment.
Recruitment, yes, exams for recruitment.
For recruitment.
Yes, not to talk of the ones that United Kingdom are conducting and all other countries.
And that's not even counting the nurses, because
that's not counting the nurses
sector.
Because of the health.
One moment, sir. Yes. Let me quickly bring in Mazi Okoroafo, who has called in. Good morning, Mazi Okoroafo.
Good morning, Sir. Good morning, Professor Bania and Professor.
Let's determine where he comes from. Is he from Abia or from
Arochukwu?
He's from Arochukwu.
So let's...
let's say, my brother Liberals and Dr. Bani, see, the government have already made a mistake. Is the government going to pay compensation to people that lost their breadwinners after this negligence by the Minister of Labour and the Minister of Health and the rest? The question now is zero. Now, the court in Nigeria, it's only the poor man that suffers all these things. Because federal government, they don't obey court. Why are they going back to the court that the doctors should come back? Now, what does it take? Are they telling the labor and the finance, are they telling that there is no money in the central bank or sovereign fund of Nigerian government is not there, or reserve money is not there to pay this money since last week? Because to pay that money, it will not even take up to 30 minutes. Rather, the workers in the finance, at least, this what they call overtime job. Overtime, they can do it. Now, if it is government ministers traveling out and to collect the they will do that overnight work and overtime and get the minister's money ready. But this one that concerns the masses, because the doctors have to be forwarding the masses. When they don't forward the masses, the federal government cannot be them. But the question now is this. There are three major things in a country where you fail to do it, that is, you have failed. 1, health. 2, security. 3, education. These three balance or these three major things are just what the government are just retaliating inside, which is 90% of Nigerians are just stuck to that very thing and it's not moving fine in this country. But the question is this: whether the government like it, the race and all of that, they have removed the ladder. When they come down, I wonder where they are going to get the ladder to do. That is equal so that they have to be everything. Everybody must reap what he or she must absorb, because the federal government money is from Nigerians. It's not for individuals.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Okay.
The moral counts a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mazi, for calling in. Appreciate your call, Mazi. And the point is, the longer this drags on, the more casualties of it there will be. I was asking the doctors yesterday the impact that this was going to have, and they said, look, nobody wants it. Nobody, you know, it's agonizing to them, but they see no other way than to go this particular way. Otherwise, the government has, according to them, continued to demonstrate its insincerity in negotiations. But now that the president has said that, look, okay, let me help you guys out. Take away some of those technicalities. Find there are legal ways to do so. Take away some of those technicalities. Let's move forward. And after that news hit, to now hear that the Minister of Labour was still going back to court, what technicalities are they now trying to remove?
Can we practicalize this issue, sir?
Let's try.
You know, let's break it down so that everyone listening to us will understand. You know, as I said earlier, there was a memorandum of understanding signed by doctors and the federal government. When there was this disagreement as to implementation, they moved, you know, forward after strike. Then sat down now to sign what we call memorandum of action, meaning we are ready now to implement what we have agreed before, which we have failed to. So what is the issue that you have failed to now implement what you have even agreed to implement? These guys went on strike. the best approach, to me, I don't know why people in government are very deceptive. They like deceiving people. Is it the best thing for you to go to court? What is the ground of going to court? Because these guys are saying, we have agreed to implement, you have failed to, and we are going to on strike. Is it not for you to sit down and say, gentlemen, we could not in any way implement because of paucity of fund, or these are the reasons, but we are appealing to you. Okay. Rather than now taking a hostile, position of, taking them to court, asking the court to order them back. So what, let's practicalize this thing. So I think also the federal government, by the president himself, who has given a very good counsel, should also counsel himself and say, look, I will not allow this to continue. If my ministers are failing me, I don't mind calling these guys to a round table and solving this problem right away. That is the way.
Because the president has been observed to come in on it. I remember the unfortunate NSAS incident. The president actually came in on it, which is very, very unusual. Before I come to you, Reverend Dominic has called in. Good morning, Reverend. Reverend Dominic, good morning.
Good morning, Chief Yari. Good morning to your guest.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Chief Yari, I'm a student of history. A challenge with our nation is this: we don't record to history, and it's terrible. The man called Mr. Ngige, or Minister Ngige, was a man who went to Okeja Shrine naked in order to become the governor of Anambra State. What kind of attitude do we get in governance? When people do not go to governance with character, they go to back way. He wants to retain his office. Let us put it this way. Let's agree that court gave injunction for doctors to go back to work. Could you solve the problem? That's the question we should ask. Let's agree that court has asked them to go. Let's take it that way.
Well, they say you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. As has been said here, it can be interpreted as a very hostile action to this process.
Yes. Now, what is the government welcoming? What is the welcoming? Is he welcoming chaos? Is he welcoming impossibility? Or is he welcoming, lack of integrity in life? This doctor told us yesterday, you were here yesterday, a doctor you called so that we don't trust these people. And what they're saying has proved this morning. You are fighting with a person, and the person is withdrawing to cease fire. As he cease fire, you fight him from the back. What kind of a man is that?
Okay.
The issue that we have challenge in health system.
Okay.
And Mr. President told us a few days ago, he wants to leave government with legacy. Is this the legacy he wants to leave? Hospital is dead. Health is down. On your screen now, they are fighting. The people that said they were giving amnesty and fighting a national academy, army academy, and kill soldiers and take some hostage. What kind of legacy Mr. President wants to give to us? We voted for this party. We have been under attack because of this government. May God help Nigeria.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. Just to put again once more, because it needs to be said, that caption we keep on showing, it has since been determined that there was no pronouncement by any court ordering the doctors to go back. Unless
that is correct.
There is no so there's this whole matter about welcoming. There's nothing to welcome because there was no pronouncement.
Or maybe they are welcoming the fact that the judge said end hostility, maintain status quo, let doctors continue on strike.
Unless you take that interpretation.
This issue cannot be overflowed. When you try to be deceptive in resolution management,
that's the right language.
It further depletes your bank.
We don't have the Minister of Labour here. We don't have the Minister of Labour.
No.
You can call to come and tell us that no, we're not being deceptive. People are misunderstanding the whole process.
Let me also tell you, even the sitting position of negotiations says a lot. When you come to a negotiation table and you sit at the head table, you sit there and behave as an arbiter. And so you must also carry out the job of an arbiter and not take one side. And so as a minister who is looking for a resolution to issues, you don't further use press releases to deceive the people and expect that all will be well. What are the issues? There are issues. And you have signed an agreement to resolve those issues. And the worst case is, we have taken the first step. From the end of this first step, we are going to take half of the second step. With that, everybody will see that you are truly executing and proceeding in what you have agreed to do.
We're going to take a break now.
But going to court and using court, we are too...
Well, they went to court, but it wasn't successful.
Because it will never be.
It can never be successful. And so
lawyers will just make money and then...
people just keep that in mind when you see that caption again that the federal government welcomes. There was no pronouncement, so we are told, by any court for the federal government to welcome. Now, the state we're at now, yesterday there was something of a tizzy because it looked as if we were getting... But nothing has changed. No court pronounced any such thing. We have been told subsequently. No court pronounced that doctors should go back to work. Yet, unfortunately, there was this caption you were seeing that federal government welcomes a ruling. There was no ruling for federal government to welcome. I hope I'm not, out of, point to just saying that. But it's been said that we have been told that there was no court ruling that the doctor should go back. In fact, what the court had said is go back and maintain the status quo. And so that's what we have on our hands. And it's been proved by the two legal experts we have that the status quo in this case, it stands to reason. Where we were is where we were. The doctors were on strike and we're still trying to negotiate and, find a way. The president has come in, find an alternative resolution method in the middle of all of that. Why did the Minister of Labor go to court? That's what my people have tried to be. Yeah. So if the president was counseling, find a way to lessen the load on this particular journey.
Yes.
That's what the president was effectively saying.
Yeah, I think also, like Dr. Obani has said, there is need for the president to, step into this matter. Okay. Even though the president can't do everything, but his Minister for Labor has consistently showed that he's incapable of handling this matter. And
no, it would seem to me, sir, that the minister is not really on the same page with the president. Now, why I'm making this outrageous statement is that the president is clearly saying, cut all the fluff.
The buck stop at the president's table.
Exactly.
It is his tenure that doctors will be reported.
He's acting.
Some people might not even remember who was the minister at that time. So he's acting on behalf of a principal, a known principal. And the principal is saying this is the way you should go about it. So and he's doing it differently.
So if the Minister of Labor, if the Ministry of Labor is listening to this, somebody might want to call in, if not Dr. Ngige himself, maybe the minister, maybe the information department of the ministry that is alleged to have put out that erroneous statement that the court had ordered the doctors to go back to court, they might want to call in. We'd be happy to hear from either them or indeed the minister himself. Somebody from Labor, tell us why this confusion.
Let us understand what we're doing to the health sector by some of the government policies that is ongoing. Liberals has just mentioned the fact that UAE will be coming to Nigeria for recruitment process. We are losing our best hands in the medical profession to these countries. And if you see how much outrageous money these guys are being paid by way of salaries in all these countries, some of them I heard are being paid 8 million, 9 million a month. Whereas we are talking about 450,000 naira for doctors that are here. And most of these doctors go there and they are taking over.
That's less than $100.
Exactly. They take over, sir, the economy and even the health sector of these developed nations. So you are doing no good to us by continuing this particular strike and not resolving this issue. That's why I said that the president should not wait indefinitely for the minister to resolve this issue. If he fails to, within this specified, how many weeks now? 3 weeks doctors have been on strike. So I know the implication for us in terms of health. So I think that the president should step in.
As Reverend Dominic said, are they going to try and say that we don't have the money to do the needful?
If they don't have the money, I think that is a better approach, to the doctors by saying, okay, this is what we have.
Have
this one now, please. Don't be offended. We are not treating you. We know what you are worth, because if you go over there, we know how much you are being paid. But in the light of our, economic situation, please take this now. Those doctors are
imagine. Let me take Alaji Suba in Alimosho. Good morning, Alaji.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Thank you very much. Let me go straight to the point. According to Barrister Obani, he made mention that this issue is supposed to be holistically, dealt with, and I'm totally, I'm totally support. I agree with him in totality. First of all, he said the issue of our leaders going to overseas for medical treatment. I think Nigeria should sit down and see that issue, and this thing affects even the education sector. You see, most of the universities are they make it miserable, whereby they have on their own volition they have to finance their children in the private school. But let's talk about this, health sector we are talking about. You see, Nigerians should now wake up. You understand? So they should not be docile in terms of our leaders going to oversee, for medical treatment. Like Barrister Obani said, I don't know the way we are going to do it, because it looks to me, Nigerian labor, they are in coma. They are not doing anything, and these doctors are supposed not to be left alone. I don't know the responsibility of Nigerian labor. You see, the doctors, they are arms of the union. And like I agree with you, if care is not taken after this strike, now you see the nurses coming to strike. I mean, coming on strike again. The same thing happened to ASU when ASU was on strike. After the ASU, you see that non-academic staff started. So I think the way to solve this issue, Nigerian Labor Union, so stand behind this doctor. They should not leave them alone. I don't know their responsibility as far as I'm concerned. If this thing is not approached holistically, nothing will happen, and this doctor will be messed up. Sure. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, you mess doctors up, you mess all of us up, because it's been shown that that's the last resort for the common man for his health. And it needs to be pointed out, it's always been out there, that the doctors, their pay, their salary and all of that is part of it, but the doctors are saying it's a small part of it. Yeah. There's also the other big, what our leaders go abroad for, apart from the expertise, is the equipment, the facilities, the infrastructure, exactly. So that they can indeed perform as well as you people say, and everybody knows Nigerian doctors perform once they go elsewhere. Yes, sir. And they have the full complement of infrastructure, medical
as
infrastructure.
I speak to you now, I know lawyers who have gone to London and America and are nurses.
Can you imagine?
From Nigeria.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
No.
Yes,
that's what you just said.
I am telling you, true.
Lawyers who have gone
lawyers
and are nurses abroad.
Who went abroad and said, look, you know what?
You see now.
I want to do nursing because the pay is good. And just imagine a Nigerian doctor who left the shore of Nigeria during strike. And then you run as an elected representative, you run abroad for medical treatment, and then they tell you that doctors in that country are on strike. How will you feel? Exactly. See, the UCH, University College Ibadan, was modeled after a hospital in London when it was built. If you look at our teaching hospitals today are just mere consulting clinic. We don't teach nothing there. Oshomole built a hospital in Benin, and at the end of the day, the new governor said there was no equipment there. And I don't know if the equipment are still there now. The Renal Center in Bagada that was built by Fashola, at some point, it was closed down for lack of facilities. Makpabio built a world-class modern hospitals in Uyo. But when he had an accident in Abuja, that world-class hospital couldn't treat him. They took him to London. As I speak now, Yaya Bello says he's building world-class primary health facilities in Kogi. But will he be bold enough to send his children to these primary health facilities? These are all of the issues. And it is, nobody is saying, look, make Nigerian hospitals El Dorado overnight.
Exactly.
All people are saying, I remember as a child those days, we go to general hospitals in local government and in our communities, and you'll be proud. But today, we would rather go to that one-room hospital that is both a chemist and a hospital than even attempt to go to a Nigerian general hospital.
Thank you.
So it is that bad. And so when a government swear to protect life and properties, and then you want to use legal jargons,
then you ignore
to not deflect the issues. It is sad
that doctors need. Doctors that are already proven that the moment they step out of our shores, they are like hotcakes. They are brains. But so they can't do anything in the absence of the infrastructure that they require. But let me not delay Ibrahim in Kaduna any longer. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling.
Go ahead, please. Good morning to your two guests over there.
Thank you.
In fact, I was so happy for this topic of doctor strike this morning. It's unfortunate, really unfortunate. We have a minister that is a health practitioner himself, a doctor, and coincidentally, he is also the sitting minister of labor. Imagine, we don't need to have this strike at all. He could have been the mediator within these two bodies, if I may say the government and indeed the doctor. You see, health is a very pragmatic institution that we should give all attention to. And look, it is situations like this that make most of them find a way out. Now I can tell you that since the beginning of this strike now, many of them engage in other places, and you will see, bet me, hearing come out, you will see most exodus of doctors going out of this country. Is this how it's supposed to be? The answer is no. Look, we should not play with our health.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you very much, Ibrahim. Exactly. Appreciate your calling in to say so. But this kind of thing that Ibrahim is saying, true as it is, the government knows already. You could almost say for government that you don't preach to the converted.
Yeah,
they know these things. Well, this particular administration, I believe there's no how health would have been missing. I can't exactly recall the words in which it was couched, but there was no way health would have been missing in their roadmap, their manifesto and all of that.
When they promise change means that our clinic should no longer be a consulting clinic. It means that it has to be a place where if you go for medical treatment, you will get a holistic treatment, And the president then even made a pronouncement that public officers will no longer be allowed to take medical tourism. Yes. No, there was a time that was such a pronouncement.
Oh dear.
But he also, observed it in breach by being the first person to
because there are no Panadol in Aso Rock Clinic.
So it's important, sir, when we are leaving this place, because this issue of medical NAD being on strike for too long has actually occupied our civic space, our public space in terms of discussion. May we, from today, believe that the federal government will take a more proactive and positive action towards resolution of this particular imbroglio. It's gone on for too long.
In fact, Mr. George Inikeja, he was so angry, he suggested that if I were the president, I would have fired Dr. Chris Ngige.
It is not just about firing Chris Ngige because it's overdue, but the question is, us as a people, how ready are we to vote in people who will, look at the health sector and say, we'll treat ourselves here. Are we ready as a people?
I tell people, if you are 18 and overflow. Wait now, we're dealing with this administration.
Yes.
And we're dealing with this particular problem.
The only way you can deal with the problem is through your votes.
Okay.
Yes, continuous voters education now. Okay. If you vote in the people that will consistently go abroad for medical treatment, your health sector will be in comatose.
Good morning, Mr. Yakub in Dokwemo.
Alaji Yakub.
Thank you, Mr. Oshoma. Good morning, sir.
Okay, carry on, Alaji Yakub.
He loved that
pronouncement. Yes, my mentor, Mr. Ubani. Good morning, sir.
It's not Mr. Ubani. Now that we're going there, Dr. Ubani.
Chief Doctor Master.
Okay, maybe Dr. Ubani. Let me give him that title.
Thank you, sir.
Chief Jory, on a serious note, you said Mr. George mentioned that
he would have fired Dr. Ngige if he were president.
I'm not surprised that he was not fired. I want to put a question to you, sir. Please mention one of the ministers since almost 6 years of Mr. President has been fired. Not even only minister. There was a time Mr. President sent IG to somewhere in this country, and then the IG wasn't go there. What happened? He left the IG in the office. So some of us that supported this government. I
was going to say, and here you are, a supporter of this administration of APC and of President Buhari in particular.
Unrepentant supporter. In fact, sometimes when I go out now to defend this government, it is so hard. See, some of my friends watching this program this morning, they will be happy that I'm saying this. But I have to say the truth. Why wouldn't they go abroad when there is no law ban them not to go? Especially whereby a president will be gone out of the country. Yes, you can go out of the country to go and treat yourself. No doubt about it. But the resources that you use to go out of the country, from where? From the taxpayer money. Even though you go, make sure that our health system is very good, so that we, ordinary citizens of this country, we can be able to go to that hospital. Mr. Oshoma mentioned something that he mentioned some of the government that built world-class hospital. Mr. Oshoma, do you know what? They built all those hospitals all because they want to siphon the resources. Because ask them, how much is the cost of those hospitals that they were built?
No, hang on. You can't know that. I understand you're angry. I appreciate that. But you can't know that they're building these hospitals in order to siphon out funds.
That's the allegation that the other governors are making.
But they haven't backed it up.
They have. In Edo, for example. Including Lagos. Somebody made those allegations.
But what we are saying now is that doctors are complaining not just about the poor treatment of themselves as individuals.
And doctors are making the allegations.
Okay, but there are also, and I think it bears, stating again, that also they're saying the whole infrastructure upon which you base a medical industry, a medical profession, is missing.
Yeah. Why build a world-class hospital
you don't have the
and then you put refurbished equipment in that hospital, and then you say that you have equipped the place and there are no equipment in it? Is that not an opportunity for you to steal?
So effectively what you are saying is that you're advising government. I think another call is coming in.
Yes.
I'm advising the people, not government. Government cannot be advised.
Well, I just heard the name Olawale and they didn't tell me where from. So good morning, Mr. Olawale.
Yeah, good morning,
Welcome.
Good morning, my professor. And,
where are you calling in from?
Where is the professor now?
Where is Mr. Olawale calling from?
Ikorodu.
Thank you for telling us. Olawale in Ikorodu. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, God bless you. I just want to tell you that the government itself is not serious. The government is playing kite with our lives. Can you remember last year during the period of COVID pandemic when government decided to reduce the budget of the country? The first place they touched was health. The second one was education. Because they have no respect and regard for the health and the life of ordinary Nigerians. Because
okay, it's your right to say what you want to say, but I would have said that the government needs to show more evidence of its seriousness, apart from the flat statement you made.
The two of you are saying the same thing.
Yeah, but different language. So the point of Mr. Olawale is very clear. Government does need to show. Look, you can't get more serious than the president coming in on an issue.
But the president does not, just like Dr. Bani has said, does not just need to utter a statement. Now your minister has shown ineptitude. So what do? You step in.
The words you guys are using this morning.
It's clear-cut ineptitude.
The words you guys are using.
No, but he has not been able to resolve. What he's saying is that the man has not been able to resolve this issue for the past 3 weeks.
Yes.
And so no president will now keep waiting indefinitely for a resolution of a matter, that the implication to this country is grave. He knows it. He just mentioned they are coming for recruitment. More countries are coming to recruit poach, because of the health situation in the entire world.
And if we were to have
everyone is
doctors,
conserving, whatever, and even expanding in order to get more doctors to save the lives of their citizens. In your own case, you are allowing your doctors to live so that your citizens will die. Who does that, sir?
I'm so you see what exactly. Because it is true what you're saying.
Yes.
They are coming in here to conduct these exams for these doctors.
Because they are citizens. They love their citizens.
So,
and you're allowing them to go.
So this is what Nigerians are observing. It's not done in secret.
Yes.
And that's why it goes back to Mr. Olawale in Ikorodu. Government does need to show more evidence of how seriously it is taking this, and whatever the encumbrances are, let them state it.
We want president to get tomorrow to summon this particular and end this crisis. If the president, he said he doesn't want to leave this particular country as a failure.
Yes.
If the president does not resolve this medical, these are acts of failure.
Failure in the aspect of security.
When the man use the word failure, he doesn't want to leave Nigeria as a failure.
He was speaking about the security situation.
Only?
No, well, that was the context in which he made that statement.
I think that when
the health sector fails, that you even fail more.
Honestly,
in a pandemic situation,
he should resolve this issue this week.
And he can.
We have spoken about this matter for too long.
I believe he can.
On television or radio.
Yes, he
can. Not be on strike for
yes, I believe
and the president is feeling comfortable.
It's not about issuing statements.
No, you don't know.
But the money should not feel comfortable.
You don't know that he's feeling comfortable.
No, I'm telling him that he's feeling comfortable. Okay. I want him, somebody said he cried the other day, when some people were killed on Just Road. I want the president not to sleep this night.
I want him to cry every day.
I want him to resolve this issue.
Over the crisis.
We want to resolve the health issue. Call these guys back to work.
Okay. I think that's a fine place to leave it. Let the president intervene in a way that will make the doctors come back to work, which he has already indicated he is minded to do.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. Now let it just, let him just go the whole hog, and so that we can just have some relief, all of us. I want to thank you, Dr. Monday Onyekachi Ubani, chairman of SPIRL of the MBA, and Mr. Libros Oshoma, public affairs analyst and legal practitioner. Thank you very much. And also thank you very much to our callers out there at home. I won't mention you for fear of missing out one of them. You're all, highly valued. Remember, as we go, the COVID-19 is out there. I was reading in the newspapers yesterday that, no, what I was reading was the reason some people were not even taking the vaccine and their attitudes to the vaccine. It included that some respondents did not actually believe that there was a COVID-19 virus. Well, know that there is, so you might want to consider getting the vaccine. Just stay safe. I'm Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.